Yeah, I just wanted to make a video really quick. Just saying, you know, that if you ever wrestle with some doubt concerning God, I mean, it doesn't have to be unhealthy. A lot of people get scared if they wrestle with doubt. I mean, if you look in the Bible, again, I'm only a year or so into this. I'm not a Bible scholar. Even Bible scholars, I mean, a lot of those people really work off their intellect. I mean, I'm sure some of them do. I'm not trying to sit here and pretend, to know who's really a child of God and who's not. But people go to school to learn the Bible. Why would you have to go to school and pay thousands and thousands of dollars just to learn the Bible when you could just be taught by God Himself? I mean, if you're going to school to learn the Bible, in my opinion, you can't really be being led by God all that much. I mean, maybe you are. What do I know? I don't know. See God for yourself. But all I'm trying to say is, if you wrestle with doubt, not about God's existence, but I mean, even people wrestle about that sometimes, especially in this day and age where supposedly we all came from monkeys and all the rest of this goobly gop garbage that they try to ramrod down our throat. And it's even worse off that they try to smack our kids upside the head with it as well, just coming from all different directions. And I just wanted to make a video kind of sort of just about everything. I mean, to have a relationship with God, it's, I guess, just doubt is part of the package. Kind of like when you buy I don't know, when you buy so let's say you go to the store and you go in the frozen food section, and you buy, just for an example, a TV dinner. You buy something that is good, like meatloaf or something, but then you have a side, but then you have green beans along with it. You don't want the green beans, but you just want the meatloaf. Well, your walk with God is not always going to be the main dish. There's always some things that come along with it. And doubt, is kind of like one of those things where it doesn't necessarily have to be unhealthy as long as it, propels you towards God. Doubt can be just curiosity. Okay, well, maybe you run into a certain thing within your walk with God that you just don't really know enough about, because we're intellectual beings. Like, we have a hard time just putting the blindfold on and just kind of walking. And that's kind of way, I don't think that, again, seek God for yourself. I'm not God. I'm not trying to talk for Him either. But in my opinion, I highly doubt. I mean, God made us this way. God made us people that, He gave us a brain. So why would He want us to take our brains off and throw it in the garbage can and just say, okay, God, lead me? I mean, sometimes, yeah, we have to walk by faith, not by sight. His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. Right. There are some times where we just have to suck it up and just go for the ride, I mean, kind of like you're a little kid, in the back seat and your parents are driving you. I mean, really, sometimes you just got to suck it up and trust. But you can't, always have intellectual answers to a divine God, because God is a creator, and He, if we really understood God and His ways and all that stuff, I mean, at what point do really, I mean, at that point, who's God and who's not? God is God because we can't understand God. That's the whole point to why God is, that's part of the reason what makes God who He is. I mean, really, we can't possibly wrap our limited intelligence. I don't care how smart we think we are. I mean, at the end of the day, compared to God, we're not smart. It's just pride that keeps us from thinking that we're able to figure Him out. But look, I mean, at the end, we all wrestle with some things. And, at times, so do I. I'm not going to say it. That's part of the reason why I'm making this video. I mean, I'm not really going through a time of doubt, but walking with God, there's a lot of confusion. And I have ran into little obstacles, and I said, well, this doesn't really match up. Like, I don't know. So, I mean, but the worst thing you could really do is hop on the internet, because you find a lot of goofballs and a lot of goofball stories that just, people just, I don't know. I mean, if you want to go on the internet and just try to find common ground with somebody, that's a different story. But to go on the internet and look for answers, about God, seek God for answers. I mean, the internet is just not the place to do it, because nobody really truly understands things about, the things of God. And like, the thing about the Bible is there's so much stuff that goes on outside the Bible. That's why it says walk by faith, not by sight. Like, a lot of people like to say, well, again, see God for yourself. I'm not God. But in my opinion, and you know what? I know that there's things that happen outside of the Bible. I believe that God just gives us, enough to go on. But there's so much stuff that happens outside of the realm of the Bible. I mean, if everything that happened in life, was in that Bible, then at what point does faith even matter? Because we're supposed to walk by faith, not by sight. We're supposed to, our faith is what keeps us in contact with God. So if all the answers were in the Bible, then that would mean that the Bible is God and God's not God. At what point do we not just bow down and worship the Bible instead of God himself? You know what I'm trying to say? So I mean, that to me, that's just common sense. Sure, line things up with the Bible, but there are a lot of things that happen outside of in this world that are caused by, other things that just are not, biblical, because you just can't find them in the Bible, and again, I'm not saying the Bible is not the Word of God. Sure it is. I mean, it's people have tried to discredit the Bible for thousands and thousands of years, and nobody's been ever been able to do it. In the Bible, his prophecies have come to pass. I mean, we're living in a day and age where the water's turning red, and I mean the blood moons and all that stuff. That's all prophecy, man. That's all in the Bible. I mean, really, if the Bible was just a bunch of drunk men sitting around a campfire making up, ghost stories, well, why is everything coming true thousands of years later? Think about that. So, I mean, it is the Word of God, but at the same time, God just gave us enough to chew on, because, eventually you're just going to have to. Doesn't mean you have to take your brains off and throw them in the garbage can, in my opinion, at all. God does not want you to do that. I mean, really, why would he? But sometimes you just don't have the answers to everything, and you just have to move forward without real answers. That's what faith is all about. Obviously you have to do it with discernment. Don't just sit there and, walk in the middle of rush hour traffic and think you're doing God a favor when you're not, figuratively speaking, obviously. But, my point is sometimes, you just have to, but I mean, the whole point of this video is I just don't want people to, feel lonely, because, it's a very human thing to sit there and it's healthy. It's healthy, to sit there and just like, wonder, because that means not only are you interested, but, if it brings you closer to God, then it's going to enrich your relationship with him instead of, the other way around. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be unhealthy. Just kind of like, kind of like alcohol for you, for people that do that stuff. I don't know about liquor, I don't know. But beer, I've heard this. It's kind of like anything. Too much of it, you need a balance. Kind of like I was gonna say with the whole beer thing. Like a beer or two a day. I mean, there's nothing wrong with one or two beers a day. Or I don't even know. I really don't know, because I'm not a drinker, so I really don't know the statistics or whatever, and I'm not a doctor either, so really. But, I mean, I've heard that occasionally one beer, whatever, is good for you because of the stuff that's in the beer, the barley and all that stuff. But even then, if you sit there and drink and drink and drink, even if it's just once in a while, it's not healthy. So that's what I'm saying. But, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just wanted to make that video, and just so in case, somebody comes across this and they, they're like, man, I'm really wrestling with this. And I, and a lot of people get into that mode of they feel shamed or something, like they don't want to sit there and talk about it with anybody, because, really, I mean, a lot of people like to walk around and act like they don't deal with things. Well, it's part of life, and I guarantee you, if you're dealing with it, so is somebody else somewhere. And as far as this topic, the point of this video, I'm just making this video to let you know that, yeah, I've gone through it, and so is this one, and so is that one. I mean, really, it's just because how could you not run into that obstacle eventually? Like, we're talking about God. You can't possibly understand everything about God. And the way we like to build off of our limited, we like to try to figure something out that is so far beyond anything that we could ever begin to even comprehend. No, there is not a piece of technology that can fall asleep on our laps and have in its wildest dreams can ever even comprehend God, let alone ourselves. And nowadays, our technology is far beyond anything that we could ever, unfortunately, nowadays we walk around with phones that are twice as smart as we are. I mean, really, dude. I mean, we are becoming lower and lower and lower and lower and lower and lower on the chain of life, the whole pyramid of life. We've really hit a point in society where we talk to our phones and they talk back to us, and it's just insanity. But so, really, we can't figure out a God that created everything. So, eventually you're gonna, being the people that, He created us to be, of course we're going to run into these obstacles where we just don't understand things. And then we look for it in the Bible, and it might not be there. So we're like, okay, well, this is the word of God, but it's not in the Bible, and, there's no answer to my question. Well, pray through prayer. Hey, and like I said, don't believe every answer that you receive. Either pray for spiritual discernment, because there's a lot of deception out there as well. But you know, hey, it is what it is. I just wanted to put that out there, and just so because I know a lot of people again feel very, very they can feel very, very withdrawn if they go do something like that. So just let it bring you closer. Really. No matter how bad or how good it gets, just be honest with God. Say, really, don't put God in a box. But at the same time, if you're starting to get ideas, from something outside of the Word of God, then you might want to sit there and maybe second guess it, because I know sometimes there's a lot of funny stuff going on out there, and people can be misled, and that's all in the Bible too. There's things in this world or universe that would have no problem just misleading you, or not, whatever. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, we all have to face God. So you could either have fun down here for a certain amount of time, or whatever. So have a nice day. That's all I really have to say.